One last topic that I wanted to talk about that has to do with this idea of biochemical cycles and nutrient cycling is that since nutrients cycle through the biosphere, if you were to remove the biosphere, you're going to affect the way that the nutrients move around. A good example of that is deforestation. If you cut a lot of trees in a certain area, you're going to affect the number of nutrients which were available there because the trees were a reservoir for those nutrients. And in fact, the roots were part of what was holding the soil together. So look at this experiment that was done in natural habitat. In 1969, they completed the tree cutting in a certain area, and throughout the whole time, they were measuring the amount of nitrate concentration in runoff. Remember, that's nitrates is that nutrient that the producers need. And notice what happened is that after the cutting was completed, the runoff increased more and more in the deforested area, and eventually the water was full of this nitrate, which means instead of the nitrate sticking in the life, it was running in the water. So the water was now saturated with nitrates because of deforestation. Meanwhile, on the area which was under the control group, the nitrate levels stayed pretty much lower in the water of the runoff, which means life was holding on to those nitrates instead. So if you deforest, what happens is that the nutrients, instead of being in life, they start running in the water. The same thing is true when you, for example, you fertilize to doing agriculture or your lawn. What happens to those nutrients? Those nutrients end up in the water because when it rains, the nutrients that you put on your soil get carried away, or in your lawn get carried away by the runoff into the rivers and streams and ultimately into the oceans. So what ends up happening is that, especially during the summer months when there's a lot of sunlight, that there's a great blow up of productivity in the oceans because all of the nutrients which are coming during the rivers will concentrate and then cause algae to grow like crazy. And we'll talk about in population ecology that this could actually lead to problems in the ecosystem. It's called eutrophication, when you have too much nutrients and therefore too many growth of algae, which actually ends up killing the ecosystem. I know it seems counterintuitive that you have more producers end up killing, but it ends up happening is that those producers actually suffocate the ecosystem because they will have to breathe at night too. So there's too many of them, they kill everything. And they also block the sunlight to the bottom of the land. So it's a lot of problems for life if human interference, such as deforestation and fertilization of the soil, will actually cause these kinds of problems. So it's a good food for thought that you have to consider before you mess with the environment.